Alright, let's see whether or not Twitch is awake. Well, it's spitting ads, so I presume it's awake. And Evil Luigi is in the stream before I am.
You know,
Hey, Evil Luigi. Not sure exactly how long I'm gonna be here, because my eyes hurt like hell. No, you won't miss 2 hours. You're gonna catch all 2 hours of it. I don't think I'll be able to go. Maybe I won't even reach 2 hours. There's something wrong with my office. Mold in the sky, mold in the air or something. And my eyes hurt like hell after every workday. So, we'll get as much done as I can before they start to close all by themselves at the same time instead of in alternating orders. So the core problem with the game as it stands is that I broke everything. So today we're going to do a lot of fixing. And in most cases that's going to be an improvement. Because I kind of threw together some of the stuff that got broken, knowing that I'd have to replace it. Now is the time. Let's go to the garden. Let's just take a quick look at the list of people. B. Wheatley, Jojo Jet, and Pink Hair are all theoretically in the chat. But their sound has been turned off or something, and they don't hear me talking at them. So previously, when we went into this kind of star system view, we could click on these planets and go to them. Now you'll notice that the camera does not move. We still get the functionality of clicking on the planet, but nothing ever activates, and in fact we can't hit escape to close it. So there is a lot of stuff gone wrong here, and part of that can be found here in the console where it says the variable target of orbit control has not been assigned. Orbit control is an older script that doesn't use our new target thing that we built the other day. You see how this is player control target. Orbit control doesn't receive that properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to close all of the others and open up the orbit control script. Scripts. Player controls. Orbit control. Now orbit control is having its orbit assigned. Here it is right here with its iCelestial body. And in fact we can see that happening up here where it says attracting planet pop up to Venus space, showing one planet. It never actually says orbit control clicked on, so it might be possible that that's not getting triggered. Anyway, if you've got anything you want to see me do, you can let me know, or if you've got any questions, you can let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to try and polish up the player control and camera control code. So, right now, what we're going to try and figure out is whether or not the orbit control is getting activated. When we click here, this pops up, and it says that the target orbit control has not been assigned. So, what is that? That's the Venus space visual, but exactly what is it? I think it's a generic visual that gets assigned. Yeah, camera control polish isn't actually what I'm talking about. Well, camera control polish comes with the territory, but the cameras are so terrible right now. Yeah, exactly. They're just the worst. But part of that is because I went into it without knowing anything except for I would need 12 layered cameras. The problems I was having with trying to figure out how to rotate and spin the cameras, we're going to have all of those just go away. I know of a fairly decent way to do it now that I've thought it through. So that's what we'll do. But first, we got to figure this stuff out. So this canvas here has a sidebar which has an orbit visual attached to it. The orbit visual should get called and activated. I'm a little bit lost as to which things are active and which things aren't, because it's been a while since I did this stuff here. And it's a really old system that doesn't have a clear order of operations. It's not like I instantly understand which system is currently active and which system isn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some player control observations here so that we can remember what's going on. Debug.log name plus added to control stack, and then up here we will say name plus removed from control stack. And that'll let us see which controls are currently set up as the correct behavior. So when we hit play, we can immediately see what's going on. Universe is being added to control stack twice for some reason. The build menu is being removed, although it wasn't added. The reason for that is because it's set to turn itself off. It's a really aggressively turned off. System added to control stack twice. So right now we're in the system control, but the question is why it's being added twice. That's obviously an error. So let's go ahead and open this up and see why the system controller is getting added twice. So here's the system controller, and the system controller itself has no code to add itself. So it's being called twice from the player control. This fundamentally has something where it gets added twice. So here it calls onAdd to stack, but it also calls it here in onEnable. And my guess is that onEnable actually does this as well, you know, just when you first start up. So I don't think I need this. Let's comment it out and see whether that is the problem. Yep, that was the problem. So we're going to go ahead and leave that commented out. We don't need it. We don't need the odd add-on instantiation because it's automatically going to get added to the scene properly regardless. That should have caused an error. Any errors? No? Okay. So now we know that the system controller is what's getting added to the stack as the final surface layer. And the system controller has this update where all it does is suck the camera back to its own custom default. It doesn't do any camera, it doesn't have any camera controller. So the clicking isn't being handled by the system control. That means that somehow the individual planets are being scanned by something other than the system controller. Well, we've got a build menu controller that's not added, a system controller, earth space removed, build menu removed. So those are all. So we've got a universe and a system controller, and that's it. So what is doing the detecting? What's that? Attracting pop-up view to Venus space. What's attracting it? Universe UI element. Okay, that's interesting. So why is something is triggering this anchor? Find references, please. So what is set up as the triggering mechanism? I know there is a sphere around each of these planets, which you can see here, Venus space, the sphere. And we've got this mouse overable script attached to it, which is what's actually being triggered. And it has this unmouse over, but the thing is that the unmouse over doesn't actually automatically trigger. I built those, and they have to be triggered by something that's detecting the mouse. It can't be the orbit control script because the orbit control script is off. So what's actually triggering the mouse overable? Find references. Okay, so there's a bunch of things that hit it. We've got a universe UI element, and the universe UI element vector screen point, world to screen point, rect transform, RT anchored position 3D, void anchor. So in the update, it will look at its target. So what is this universe UI element? Obviously, it's a universe UI element, but where is it in the scene? Probably on The system controller. No, that's not it. Unless system control descends from universe UI element, which it does not. I should have thought more carefully about how to set up this UI system because it's pretty damn opaque right now. It might be worth redoing. So if we take a look for our universe UI element, there it is. It's on the planet pop-up. So the universe UI element has the job of, it doesn't really do very much. In update, it will take a look at its mouse overable target. But where does it set the mouse overable target? This so here it is, anchor. So the planet pop-up is just the name that pops up. And it gets told to anchor itself. But what tells it to anchor? If we take a look at all of the references to anchor, there's only one, and it's right here. So nothing is calling this, except something is clearly calling it, because attracting to target.name is something that just flat out happens right here. So that means it must be being called by a Unity event, because it's not being referenced in code. So I've set up Unity events to call this universe UI element with an anchor. So when does that happen? Well, let's take a look at on anchor here. Unfortunately, there's not really any way for us to test this. Is this it? No? Standalone input module. Celestial body scaler. Earth space. So right now I've got it set up so that there's something that is doing a mouse cast, a ray cast into the scene and detecting whatever it impacts on and looking for this mouse overable object. The question is, what the heck is it? If the universe has raycast duties, then I'm a frigging idiot. So let's take a look. Nope, no raycasting here. It's just keeping track of modes and time, which is what it should be doing at this point. Universe mouse control. I bet this is it. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so the universe mouse control actually does all of the raycasting. See, here it is. Ray equals input mouse position, raycast hit, contact. And I detect the mouse overable, and if the mouse overable is here, 6 of 10 says, I've been wondering, are you going to upload your stream replays to YouTube or something? I'd like to be able to watch them, and the Twitch is too fidgety. To be honest, I don't care very much. I've gotten a couple of requests to upload them to YouTube, so I probably should. But you can watch the cached streams. They're stored for a month. I guess because enough people have asked, I'll probably start putting them on YouTube. But you have to realize, I only have like 4 or 5 active audience members, so I'm not sure that exporting them to YouTube has much value. Still, I'll give it a shot, see how easy it is. For the moment, however, you can watch the cached one without any trouble. You should be able to see it back a month. So when we hit something with the ray, if it's a mouse overable, we set our highlighted, and then we say if you clicked, then mouse click the highlighted. So if we look at our mouse overable, which is right here, and we have this on mouse over, on mouse out, and on mouse click. So this is where all of the systems are being activated. And that's not a bad thing at all. I just have to remember how that works, and maybe clean it up a little bit, because that's not the best. So we're going to go ahead and add that in here. Looks for a, I guess I'll put in a, looks for a mouse overable and triggers its various events. Actually, that should probably be up here. So when we actually click, it does two things. It enables the orbit control, passing it ourselves, and it also hides the planet pop-up. Now, the reason it hides the planet pop-up is because a planet pop-up is just that box that says Earth here, and we don't want that still there, so we hide it when we click. And so it just enables the Earth space orbit, and we can see that happening if we just click, boom. You can see Earth space added to control stack, and then it gives us a big fat error because adding the Earth stack, adding it to our stack didn't actually set it up properly. Blah 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 blah. So we have to look at the on enable in the Earth space orbit control. Here it is. Oh, target. No, there's the problem. The target isn't set up. It needs to be us, so we'll just drop it in. That's right. I actually changed the name of this object. So, I mean, the variable. I changed the name of the variable, and it's not surprising that it didn't magically remember to change the old target setup to the new target setup. So, when I set it up like this, it will probably work. Let's find out. Yeah, it worked. So the only problem was that I changed the variable name, which obviously desynced the serialization and reinitialized the target. So that's not too bad. This camera setup isn't too bad either. It's not a problem. The problem is when we get to the ship, you can see that it gets all sorts of fun little problems. And we're going to have to start to work through those and fundamentally fix the camera setup. So 6 of 10 says Twitch is hard to work with. It doesn't like playing cached streams. Really? I don't know much about Twitch. I don't seem to have any problems playing cached streams myself. But if I hit export, it lets me manage my YouTube account. Probably what is a good idea. Okay, so it actually just lets me push my, it just lets me push it straight to YouTube. So from now on, I will go ahead and upload those cached streams to YouTube for you. Probably not instantly, because by the time this Twitch stream ends, I'll have a headache the size of Nebraska, but in the future. So I know that I have about 12 streams that are gone, just because I've been doing this for more than a month now. And I'm afraid that you'll never get to see those unless someone downloaded them and cached them and wants to give them back to me so that I can upload them to YouTube. The audience for these was so tiny that caching, making sure that they were still available after the fact just seemed like work that didn't need to be done. But it's like 3 clicks, so whatever, I'll do it. Actually, I had better go ahead and do that right now. Now that I'm thinking about it, because that oldest video is about to vanish. Oh, it already vanished. Yeah, for example, I'll just click here. Title, spaceship, game programming, game dev, title, Twitch stream, July 30th, 2016. Just a Twitch stream. Alright. So I'll just export that and see what happens. Your video is being uploaded. I'll get an email when the upload finishes. Great. Nebraska is frigging huge. I mean, it's not as big as Texas, but it's a big state in comparison to Rhode Island and Massachusetts, at least. Let me take a look. Nebraska size. Nebraska is 77,000 square miles, whereas Massachusetts, Massachusets, Massachusetts is 10,000. So it's more than 7 times the size of the state I live in. Alright, so the error we got when we tried to go over to the ship is that the variable target of the ship interiorable control has not been assigned, which may sound familiar, and that's because we just fixed this same exact error, and now we have to fix it for the ships. The only problem is that the ship interiorable control is phasing out. The ship interiorable control is not something I am generally trying to use because it allows the player to toggle the view using the view toggle button, and that's not something that I actively want to allow anymore. I'm using a different approach involving the new mode master control system, so I don't need to it. You know, I drove to Rhode Island several times, and it is not a big state, but it has some of the worst highway layouts I've ever seen. I drove there at night once, and I had to choose whether to turn from, I think it was highway like 42 or something like that, and then I had to choose whether to go to 42A or 42, and I was like, I'll stay on 42, except it turns out that there's a cliff at the end of that highway, and when it says that you should stay on 42, what it means is you should take a 110-degree left turn at the cliff. It was a ridiculously backwoodsy highway, but that was also the only state I've ever been in where a cop almost shot me. Not my favorite state. So when we activate a ship, we change over to the ship's exact control system. Well, I think that the problem is they want to be bigger than they are, so they just kind of cram the roads in twisty, all twisty. But at night, it was a very dark night, and the real problem was, at least back then, I don't know if this is still true, there weren't any streetlights on the highways. They were just pitch black. And calling them highways is pretty forgiving, too. They were like maybe 3 or 4 lanes in total. They weren't really much of a highway. You know, it's like a threadbare road, you know, threadbare little road going one way, and then a small grass divider and a threadbare little road coming the other way. But the speed limit was like 65, so nope. And that's why it's only been in Rhode Island that I tend to get shot at. Or I didn't actually get shot at, but it was pretty dicey. So when I click on this, things are going to happen, and what we want to do is track what happens. So when I click, what happened? So when we clicked on PBV representing longbow term, PBV stands for Pabst Blue Visual. What does it stand for? Well, let's open it up and find out. Oh, Celestial Body Visual. That's better. So what happens here is that the Celestial Body Visual for the ship gets clicked on, and then the orbit control says, okay, you clicked on the ship, because that's the chain that happens. And then it goes, I'm going to create this ship overview control and add it to the control stack. So the ship overview control is actually a prefab. Here it is. And we can fuss with this prefab now to fix it up. So let's go ahead and put the ship overview control into the game. And let's take a look at how this is set up. Right now, this has already been replaced with our new mode controller here, but we still have a couple of old pieces, like this ship overview control. There's really no point to it, so I believe that the two things we need to kill off are the ship overview control and the ship interiorable control. Those are both part of the old method. So we're going to go ahead and delete this off of our system. And we'll put in a mode master control here instead. Now the mode master control is capable of... This seems familiar. I think I already did this. Let's pop over to test and see whether or not... Yep, I've already done it. So here you can see we've got our mode master control already set up. There's no camera schema attached to it yet, but the ship visual and the interiorable controller are both set up. So it looks like I'm using the interiorable controller here. Rather than replacing it, I am trying to refactor it. Okay, I can do that. It does have a lot of code in it that is valuable. So I can see why I'm trying to refactor it. We have to be a little bit careful about not allowing it to any of our old spaghetti to bleed through. One of the problems that we are having with both of these systems is that their setup is a little bit old. The camera setup is pretty direct, and we need to fix that. 6 of 10 says, you've said that combat is going to be more submarine-like. Are you planning on adding mines or something that the player can place in the world? Yeah, well, this is a complicated topic because the game is going to be pretty heavily moddable, and I haven't gotten deep enough in it to know exactly what the defaults are going to be. But you have to remember, you're not going to be so close that you can visually see the other ship. Most of the time, the ship will be, like, for example, split screen style. You'll see the visual of the ship getting blown up or struck, but you won't be able to see it on the same screen as your ship. The distances involved are just too large. And so my idea here is that there's going to be a lot of stuff involving sensors, active versus passive, stealth, that sort of stuff. So yes, you can lay mines, but you're going to have to be pretty careful about how you do it because the mines have to be able to detect the ship. And in order to surround a 3D space with a minefield, you have to either know exactly where the ship is going to go, or you have to spread them very, very thin. So rather than mines, it's more likely that you're going to be dropping whiskers, sensor buoys, which can sit there and just scan for enemy ships as they pass nearby. And rather than firing, exploding or firing a rocket or whatever, they'll just ping you and they'll say, I detected a ship. And you can say, I'm going to launch a frigging rocket at that ship. Uno Maestro says, may I ask why you use invoke as a method without a delay? What is the use of it exactly? I'm using a lot of Unity events because Unity events can be set up here in the scene view. I don't have any in this particular script right now. But because, here's one, for example. Because they can be set up here in the screen view, that means that, or in the inspector view, that means that I can set them up and modders can set them up and we can all set them up and without any code required. And invoke simply triggers those Unity events. I'm not using even invoke to call a standard function. I'm using invoke to call a Unity event. There might be another way to invoke them. I've never actually looked into it. So right now the problems we had were that the ship interiorable control wasn't getting set up properly with a target. So we have to take a look at what's causing it to fail. So let's hop back over. First off, I know what's causing it to fail. What's causing it to fail is that it wasn't the correct... I forgot to save that. So now we're going to go back over into the garden and try it out. InJojoJet says, have you done any more brainstorming with your idea for in-gaming program represented with stuffs? I'm not sure that that fits into this game. I have done a lot of brainstorming about it. There are a lot of games that I could build like that, but if I tried to build it into this game, I have a sneaking suspicion that it would become the game, and I would prefer not to do that. So I don't think I'm going to have any shipside programming in this game, aside from some basic stuff. 6 of 10 says, do you plan on releasing the Galactic Line on Steam when it's finished? I'm not eager to release it on Steam. I'm not planning to charge for the base game, so I'm definitely going to be releasing it onto itch.io. Releasing it onto Steam kind of depends on how it looks like Steam is treating games and modders. It's kind of hard to have a generic mod interface with Steam. They kind of take over your modding environment, and basically all of your mods turn into Steam mods, which is great, except for Steam has a lot of pretty strict constraints on what they allow mods to be. So I'm not sure that that's going to fit in with a Sims-like game. The Sims would not get away with using mods on Steam. Or if they did, it would just be all clothing and furniture mods. And very, very timid clothing and furniture mods. So let's give this a shot. Cross your fingers and let's see what the Breakfast Titan has to say for itself. It has nothing to say for itself. The thing you want to instantiate is null. Apparently we broke the link? Really? Why? Why did that break the link? I have no interest in adding any kinds of genitals, but I'm not going to write it out. That sort of thing is a fairly large part of why The Sims is popular, and pretending that it doesn't exist is kind of silly. The Fungile. So if we take a look at the Fungile, here it is. Click iCelestial Body, Ship Overview Control, yeah, SOC universe.live.ship overview control prefab. So the universe ship overview control prefab. I did break it. I wonder why it desynced. I thought I overwrote. Whatever. Oh, because it's not the right kind of object. We're not using a ship overview control anymore, not unless we make our ship overview control specific, and we don't have to. So we're just going to make this a mode switch controller. What did I call it? Mode master control. There it is. Now we should get a bunch of errors. But we still have to set that up because the type changed and therefore it desynced. Nope, that's not it. Yes, that is it. Yeah, that's the way the world is, Jojo Jet. Oh no, 6 of 10. Questions are great. I love getting questions because it makes me think about what I'm doing. And reminds me that I've got more to do than just tweak the camera controls. The sorter. So the sorter broke. The variable target of the mode master control has not been assigned. So that's interesting because the variable target of the mode master control is set right here. SOC set target body of ship game object. So if we look at the mode master control script, there is no set target because it's in the base player control. There is the target right there, and when we do set target, we set it up. Let's just go ahead and put in a debug. Debug.log name plus target.name. That should tell us when it gets set up and what's going on. 6 of 10 says, is the GUI design you have final? Not by a long shot. I'm trying to work out most of the basics, and so I have some ideas about what I want. For example, as you can tell, this isn't exactly a realistic depiction of space. And I plan to keep that. I plan to keep the way that it sort of is a logical depiction, but it's very stylized. But everything else is up for grabs. Okay, so here we can see that what's happening is we're actually setting it up after it's already been triggered. So the problem is that our set target is coming after the system comes into existence. Unfortunately, by that time the thread gets cracked because it's not going to work out. So here what we can see is this happens, and then awake gets called because awake happens really, really fast, but awake doesn't actually do anything. So the question is why the mode master control is getting added to the stack so fast that the target is being questioned before it gets set. I mean, this is not, nothing should happen between these two lines. So what is complaining? What is causing this? Ship overview control clone added to control stack. So it is getting added to the control stack before we do anything else. So this is actually adding it to the control stack really fast. Is it on enable? Is on enable happening super fast? Debug.log on enable for class name. Because I thought on enable only happened on the first frame. The Millennium Pioneer. So, okay, on enable happens instantly. There's the problem. So what we need to do is set this up so that we don't have a... Hello? That is obviously not the error. Oh, target.name, here it is. If target equals null, then debug.log error or log warning name plus set up with null target. Else, there we are. So 6 of 10 says, where did you learn coding and game dev? I've wanted to be a game dev for quite some time, but it's daunting. Well, when I learned, it was 1986. So I can't recommend using the methods I used. There are a lot of really good game dev schools, but there are also a lot of really good game dev articles. The question is whether or not you're a coder already, or whether or not you're getting into game dev and coding simultaneously, because that's a high hurdle. Having to do both of those is a bit tough. I learned how to do programming. I mean, I dabbled in game dev the whole time, but I learned how to do programming primarily and then moved into game dev very slowly. And even now, I'm not really a professional game dev. I worked in the industry briefly, but it's super high pressure and very low pay. And Jojo Jet with some advice on who to go watch if you want to learn how to do stuff. Let's take a look. Boom. So if I look here, okay, so ship visual set up with null target. Okay, so there's the interesting thing here. So we got called with a null target, which is probably set target null. Whose fault is that? This isn't it, right? Let's take a look here. Debug.log body as ship. Okay, so that's not its fault. Something else is setting it up with a null target. So normally what I would do is I would pop up a debugger, but I don't know whether or not that's going to work. Let's find out. The debugging in Unity has always been dicey. I don't think that worked. No, it didn't work. That's fine. I don't need your debugging. I'll figure it out on my own. But when you've got a stack problem like this, the debugs are great. So here we've got it. It's being created right here. And then the very next line, we're setting it with a valid target. But between this line and this line, it's getting set up with a null target. And it's getting asked for its target. So that's really interesting. If we take a look at the mode master control, you can see that it does call this switch mode universe mode -1 here. And that might be what the problem is, because yeah, it probably is. So if we comment this out, I bet we will find that there's no problem. But we can't just comment that out. We're going to have to do more work than that. Yes, that worked. So that means that our problem is that we are trying to change our mode master control mode when we first pop into existence, rather than when we are actually aware of what's going on around us. So basically, onAdd to stack has to be delayed until we actually get a onEnable. We actually have to delay it. We can't add it to the stack here in onEnable. We have to add it in on start instead. So return and then override start. Nope, there is no start. So protected void start. And then here we'll call it onAdd to stack. So start happens way after the rest of this stuff, and it shouldn't be an issue anymore. But this is the sort of thing that makes game dev obnoxious for people who aren't pretty familiar with how this stuff works. And I wish there was a way around that. I wish there was a way to do this such that it never got twitchy, but it always does. There's probably a way to do it that's better than that, but you'd have to be more experienced than me to know it. So all right, so now it's working. Everything is working great. The only problem we've got now is that the camera doesn't work, but the reason for that is because there's no camera on that object. The ship overview control clone has no camera control schema attached to it. Well, good news, we can attach a camera control schema to it. Nope, that's not the right one. Just create a camera control schema here and drop it in. Now, the camera control schema is currently set up with a lot of various options, which are all going away. None of them make any sense. They're all going to die. So we'll see how that works here. According to the chat, I've got 10 Chaos 1 and B Wheatley and Pink Hair and 6 Often 1. I think that's the guy I've been talking to. And Uno Maestro, which Welcome to the chat, all of you except 6 of 10, because you've already been here. I already welcomed you. Spider lightning, right? Where is it? Wow, I really put it in the middle of nowhere, huh? There we are. So as you can see, it doesn't work too badly, but our camera control scheme is all screwed up. One of the things that's screwed up about it is I forgot to turn it on. Here, like so. Six of 10 says, I like game dev and coding, but most streamers are pretty much silent and the whole process drones on. And it makes it so I can't tell what they're doing at the moment. You're not like that, you explasm things. Don't seem too tutorial-y, it makes it interesting. Thanks, 6 of 10. I have no idea why that is so, but I'm glad you think so, because I just drone on and on. And 10 Chaos 1 says, Craig Logic, you are no longer needed, so die. Yeah, that's what I tell my programs at any rate. Time to refactor you. Nova Death. I sent all of the planets spinning away. I know why that is, but it's pretty funny to see still. So here, you can see that we have our interior camera on. And I think the reason for that is because it's just on by default. If I switch modes, you can see that it goes back to this. But if I go to interior mode, you can see we don't have any visuals. There's nothing to see here. And the reason for that is because I think our interior mode is broken due to the way that our universe camera on a stick is bad. And so we're going to go ahead and fix that up. We're going to make this all work. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to create a new... I would be a good supervillain. Whenever I get a bug I can't squash, I just say, please kill yourself. It's worked before, the bug just vanished. You have the voice intonation for it, and 6 of 10. I didn't hear your response. My sister interrupted. How dare she interrupt some random streamer with 5 whole people watching him? I'm glad that you like my stuff, but I don't know why you do, because I really just drone on and on. I'm not paying any attention to what I'm saying, so... Anyway, what we've got to do now is create a couple of things. The first thing we're going to need is a new script, which we're going to call a camera on a stick. And this is going to be our camera on a stick interface. And all of our various camera controllers are going to use our camera on a stick interface. No more searching by keyframes, or no more searching by names or tags or any of that stuff. Public static live, camera on a stick live. And then here in awake, we're going to go ahead and say live equals this. But we're going to go ahead and just put in a little bit of logic. If live does not equal null, debug.log warning, 2 cameras on a stick. That's too many sticks and cameras. So camera on a stick has a couple of cameras attached to it. Public camera, universe cam, ship cam, and interior cam. But we also have a public transform, ship cam transform, or ship arm transform. So the basic idea here is when we're looking at the universe, we're not rotating around anything. We are the camera. When we're looking at a ship, we are on however long an arm we need, so that we can rotate around whatever we're actively looking at. And that means that the vast difference in scale between the ship and the planet should be okay, because the camera for the planet will be located in the middle of the ship, whereas the camera for our whole, the ship camera will be located at the end of an arm. That's still not perfect, because as we move our camera from place to place within the ship, we're probably going to find that the the ship suddenly appears to be a lot further from the planet than it was. But I'll deal with that later. Baby steps. So here we have a couple of things. We're going to just go ahead and put some underscores here. And then here, public, static camera, universe cam, ship cam, and interior cam, right? Let's go ahead and make these properly work. Get return live dot universe cam. Boom and boom, but with, of course, the correctly named cameras here. Eva Luigi likes my sound effects. That's good. It's the only kind of sound effect I'm probably going to be able to afford. There we go. So now we've got some static references to the live object, so we won't have to be able to be like camera on a stick dot live dot 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 dot. We can just say camera on a stick dot universe transform or whatever, universe camera. And that means that now we can access our universal camera on a stick from anywhere we like in code, as long as there is one in the game world. If there isn't one, it'll throw an error rather than being polite about it. But frankly, if you don't have cameras, you've got problems, so I'm not too worried about it. That's not what I wanted to do. Interior cam. So where's our ship cam? Is it here? There we are. So we also have an interior filter, which I forgot about, so let's go ahead and add that in. So, set this all up properly, drop in the interior filter. Boom, perfect. And apply. 6 of 10 says, what if you want to make it so the player can focus on a specific component or point on the ship, then be able to rotate and zoom and move the focus? It worked well in a game called Besiege. That's actually what we can already do. My problem is that unlike Besiege, I have planets. So you've got this ship. Well, it's actually easier to show you. Let me go ahead and show you what's up. So I've just built a Blumpo. And you might be asking, okay, so there's a planet. Where's your ship? If I actually click on the ship here, it's not being polite today. I've got a bug in this where it sometimes hangs. So now you can see that I've got this ship. And you might be thinking, well, you've got a planet and you've got a ship and that sort of stuff. If we actually look in the scene view, this is the size of the ship. And where are the planets? Oh, hold on. I've got to turn my layers back on. I can't see the planet Earth. Oh, it's scaled too small. That's why. Let me go ahead and fix this and then show it to you. Sorry, I've got a couple of things going at once, and sometimes it's easy to get confused. So if I look at the ship overview control, here's the camera control schema, celestial scaling target 1 instead of 0, because it was scaling away to nothing. So let's try this one more time here. So there's the pile dust. Okay, so you can see that I've got this ship and I've got some planets in the background, but as you can see, the scales do not match up. I've got these tiny little planets and these big frigging ships. So obviously I'm using camera trickery to show you your ship and the planets, you know, at different scales. And the issue I have is that if you move around the ship, you're going to be going off into space. So right now, if you are going to lock onto the center of the ship, you're going to be able to like be near the planet somewhere, and it'll look like this. The planet will look like this, even though the rest of the ship looks like this. But if I'm up here, then I'm not going to be able to see the planet at all. I'll just see Starscape. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to fix that, but I haven't really got a clear idea of the best way to do that just yet. Right now I'm going to go ahead and abstract out some of my camera control stuff so that later on I can make that work just fine. But yes, you can already zoom around the ship and that sort of stuff. It's not out of the ordinary. What is out of the ordinary is making this work. Oh, that's right. I haven't actually fixed the camera control yet. I was like, why isn't this working? Because I only did half of the job. That's why. Idiot. So basically, we're going to have a couple of details for our camera control schema. One of them is definitely going to remain the celestial scaling target, because our celestial scaling target is how much we're scaling the planets so that they match what we need, and that allows us to get away with some of our camera trickery. Orientation is locking orientation. That part's still fine. Camera control enabled equals false. Bounding box center equals false. Vector 3 offset. So here we've got a bunch of cameras, these transforms, that we don't need anymore. Or at least we don't need to use them in this way. What we're going to do is replace these with getters. Camera on a stick.camera arm. Like so. And I think that I have to separate them. I do have to separate them. I hate when that. I really wish you could stack these, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. Details. Return camera on a stick. Oh, spell it right. .camera. And then lastly, ditto, but for the ship. And 6 of 10 says, so I might not have explained it very carefully or clearly when I went ahead and tried to explain it. I wasn't focusing very well on trying to explain it, so I'm sorry if it came off as incomprehensible. There we are. SGF the Gamer came by and says, "Hi, Kursig. Hello, SGF. I have a terrible headache, and my eyes are starting to close by themselves. So I'm not sure how long I'll be able to hang out with you guys, but I think I've probably got another half hour in me." So here we've got a problem where, oh, this is supposed to be transforms. So undo, there we are. Universe cam transform. And ship cam transform. Undo is great. I love undo. Transform and transform. Don't need to worry about initializing the cameras anymore. Don't need to worry about this. Don't even need to be picky about any of this. So public camera ship cam, get camera on a stick .shipcam. Simplify, simplify, simplify. So I don't need to initialize cameras anymore. That's all done for me. Don't need to initialize cameras. All right. So now our manual update is going to work as long as we have a universe camera on a stick somewhere in the scene. But we've got some problems where we are still referencing things that don't exist. Here. Let's go ahead and hide them. And I guess we do need a main CamZ or ship CamZ camera update. Yeah, let's go ahead and put the main CamZ back in, or at least some kind of public float. It's not even public. Protected float. Camera range equals, I don't know, 50. I'll make it public. And down here, rather than ship cam, it's going to be camera, what did I call it? Range. There we go. And then here, we're going to go ahead and do our ship cam transform. We actually don't want to do ship cam transform. We want to do camera ship arm transform. Evil Luigi says, I'll hype it when it gets real multiplayer. Probably won't ever get real multiplayer. Sharing universe states is pretty easy. But, oh, you're talking about No Man's Sky. Can I ask you guys a favor? Just absolutely do not talk about No Man's Sky, please. At all. If you do want to talk about it, feel free to do so somewhere else. I'm not saying you can't talk about it. I just don't want to read anything about it. Alright, so that should be okay. Let's try it. Well, that didn't work. So here we've got a problem where it's not actually zooming in on the target. So, oh, there it is. There we go. Oh, the only reason I don't want anyone talking about No Man's Sky is because I can't play it yet. I don't have a PS4, and it's not coming out on PC for another couple of days. And I found that in the past 5 years of gaming, the only thing I have found to be absolutely true is that every game that I've heard people talk about, I've hated. I like a lot of games that were crappy, but only when people haven't tried to push opinions on me. And I've liked a lot of games that were good, but only when people didn't try and push their opinions on me. For example, Witcher. The Witcher 3 came out, and everyone was like, "This is the best game ever!" And I was like, okay, fine, I'll play it. And it was awful. It was totally awful. Well, at least that was my opinion at the time. I went back and I played it a couple days ago, and it's fine. It's a great game. But the problem is that when people tell me to expect something, or, you know, that this is good or that this is bad, even if I want to form my own opinions, I can't. So everything gets all screwed up. And I've gone to great lengths to have people not talk about it, and I will ban you, 6 of 10, if you keep talking about it. So so don't talk about it at all. I pounded my hand down like I really was trying to make a point there, but really just Don't give me your opinion of it, because giving your opinion of a game makes it so that I can't enjoy the game on my own terms. My hands hurt now. And sorry if I'm coming off a little too aggressive. I have a real splitter of a headache. Do. So the question is why we are not zooming in properly. If we look at Earth space, this is what's active. And Earth space is the correct target. And a camera control schema should be zooming in, but it's not. So if we take a look at our camera on a stick here, it's nowhere near being in the right spot, and it's vibrating. You see that vibration? We have a war going on, I think. Similarly, I really enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 5, but only after I had completely forgotten about everyone's opinions. So I think what's happening is that we have a couple of fighting camera control schemas. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to post their names. That'll tell us right away if we've got two of them. So here you can see we've got only one. So the Earth space schema is the only camera control currently dominant. The question is why it is screwing up, and it's probably because I've condensed everything too much. So here's the position, and if we're getting the bounding box center, we get the center of the target, and that's no biggie. Then we set the offset. That would let the player go ahead and maneuver around all he wants, but the offset should still be 0. Let's make sure it's 0 here. Yeah, there's no offset set. Speaking of which, the offset should probably be public. Here we are. And then if camera control is enabled, it goes off and does the other thing, but it's not enabled right now. If the camera ship arm position does not equal the position that we're trying to get to, then move it. Aha, so this shouldn't be the camera ship arm. No, wait. We want to get the universe cam. So all of this stuff is crap. Let's delete it. We don't need it. And instead we're going to go through and do this manually, understanding what the heck we're doing. So we're going to go ahead and do a cam on a stick dot universe cam. So I think it's important that we split the camera on a stick. Aha, camera on a stick is not what we need to have. We just need to have camera on a stick dot live or something similar. So if we do that, so we just do public static camera, let's transform, transform, return live.transform. Not sure that'll work. That'll probably give us an error. We'll just call it T. So we're actually just going to set up the universe camera's position. All right, 6 to 10. Well, if I reach that half-hour mark, I'll be a little bit surprised. I don't know if you can hear it, but my voice is starting to get a little bit wobbly, which is what happens when my headaches get too bad. Camera on a stuck. Six to ten says, is this game going to be pay what you want with a minimum of 0? I'm not actually sure. I do know that there's going to be something free. And largely that's because the modders are going to need a Unity project to do any significant modding. And I can't copy protect those, so there's no reason to worry about it. So at the very least, the core game will just flat out be free. Whether it's a pay what you want model or whether it's like you pay for online, network access because I'm running the servers or something like that. Not really sure yet. It's in early days still. Oh, I should not be programming. Now, I'm not 100% sure this is going to work, but we'll give it a shot. Curse you. So this doesn't need to be this. It's going to be a camera on a stick. Dot shipcam. Dot screen pointer. Right, there we are. Can you give me, like, decent pop-up errors so I don't have to keep hitting play? Oh, there we are. 6 to 10 says, so why do I have a splitting headache? There's something wrong with my work environment, my office, which isn't here. This is my home office, my actual day job office. I think there might be mold in the air conditioner filter, and it makes my eyes really hurt. And that rapidly turns into a headache. That is not quite right, but at least things are moving. So if we look at the universe cam on a stick, we can see that the pivot is not moving to the center of the planet like it should be. It should be over here, but it is not. That's interesting. What's going on? Why are you not moving to the center of the planet? You should be at 20.16 and you're at negative 0.25. And Drummer says I should get that checked out. Yep, I'm on it. And 6 to 10 says I should take it up with Workman's Comp, which would drive my day job out of business, so I don't think I'll do that. So we've got an issue where we're currently moving the local position. Here we are. So we actually want it to go away, because we're setting the camera on a stick position here. So we don't need this. There we are. Good. Good. Too close. Too close. Ah! We died. So if we set the offset, that'll be fine. We can go ahead and set the offset to negative 0.5. Boom! 0.5 rather than negative 0.5. Ndrummer says, what am I doing? I am working on making this control schema suck a little bit less. It is not as easy as it sounds. So I've replicated almost all of the functionality that used to be there, but in a form that doesn't suck quite so bad. Now I have this issue where this isn't working anymore because of the way that this is not actually catching raycasts. It turns out that raycasts don't hit this even if you leave raycast collision on. There's a super annoying... So it says that there is a raycast option. If you look here, blocks raycasts. That actually only blocks the UI internal raycasts. It doesn't block your own personal raycasts because your own personal raycasts are in the world space, not in the screen space. But in turn, that means that I have to do something to prevent that from falling through. And I did that already with this orbital mouse visual enter and exit. I do this sidebar I actually call the sidebars orbit visual, mouse enter, and mouse exit. So if we look at the sidebars, mouse enter and mouse exit, here it is. Universe UI blocking mouse equals true. So I've set up a kind of fake version of a UI blocker, but the problem is that right now I don't think I'm taking that into account when I am doing my raycasts. So when I do my I guess it's the orbit controller rather than the orbit visual. Here it is. This, I need to return it. Here it is. If universe UI blocking mouse return false. So why is this still falling through if I'm returning false? Is it not getting properly triggered? Well, let's go ahead and add in some debugs. Debug.log mouse on UI universe not raycasting. Mouse not on UI universe is raycasting. And let's see what this has to say for itself. Ndrummer says, would putting it in world space block it? Just curious. Yes, but it would also raise the price by several orders of magnitude. World space UI is super expensive. So here you can see, close this please. So here you can see it is working. So the problem is that it's not displaying everything it needs to display. So for example, right now it should show the Blumpo, but instead it's showing the Earth orbit. So when we are returning false, we aren't actually changing our visual to nothing. We're just locking our visual. We need to change it to nothing. This sounds like a bad idea. I may have to redo this, but that's okay. For now, we want it to not raycast. So if not universe UI blocking mouse, then do this stuff. And we'll go ahead and say bool contact out here. There we go. That should do it. To do 10 Chaos 1 says Victoria sponge cake with whipped cream. Sounds pretty tasty. 6 of 10 says, is that price processing power speed? Yeah, basically every time you move a camera in world space, it has to recalculate all of the world space UI elements. So that means that even if I staple it to the camera, it's going to be constantly recalculated. Recalculating these UI elements is very expensive. Normally, it only happens once when you first start the scene up, or when you're actively animating those elements. But having it in world space means that you're constantly not only reallocating it, but you have to draw it to a texture behind the scenes. Because it's not straight on, they don't know whether it's straight on, so it has to be like, you might have to render it as a poly in space and then flatten it, and so it's a lot more expensive to put it in world view. That said, it's not that expensive. A lot more expensive is relatively small still. So now, see, now I can actually get to it. Hurrah! Whoa, I just blew away the planet. There we are. That's actually not too bad. Still a little bit aggressive, and I'm around Mars. This is not the right planet. What the heck? Or is this the sun? I think it might be the sun. Boy, that didn't work out at all. Let's go ahead and, when I put the Blumpo into the game space, I don't put it very, very carefully, and that's probably the issue. So I probably need to worry about that. But for now, it works okay-ish. If we look into our UI, ship component UI, or ship overview control, and we take this and we bring this down to 1, probably a little bit better. Yeah, over here I'm just thinking about maybe starting dinner up. It's a good thing I've got an easy-to-cook dinner today. Alright, I'm going to go to YouTube and delete my my ad for this, my notification. Oh, that's not it. I almost deleted the Twitch upload. There we are. Okay, Twitch actually uploaded it, the stream, to my YouTube channel just fine. And it has 5 views. I really don't think anyone should view it. It's very boring. I'm going to give them the most boring names so that people don't get their hopes up. Alright, well, I've gotten a lot done, and I think that that's literally all I can do. So, I am available to chat with you for a little bit longer while I try to export some more of these files. Let's make sure that I have the same name here. Twitch stream 2016. Okay, so that's easy enough. Twitch stream 2016 OG3. Just some Twitch archiving. Export. To be honest, I should probably make sure that the YouTube stream has audio, because I heard some bad rumors about it not having audio.
For streaming.
Yep, there we are. It works. Do-do. Do-do-do. So, let's go ahead and export this. Twitch, what did I call it? God damn it. I am just... when you have a headache, nothing makes sense anymore. It's like you forget things in half a second. Twitch stream 2016, August 8th. Some Twitch archiving. Oh, that's just the 5-minute one. I actually don't need to upload that one. Well, it doesn't matter. Twitch stream 2016, August 6th. Twitch archiving. And I'll upload this one whenever I close it down. Why does that one say August 8th? There is no August 8th. So this can go away. This one is in error. That was fun. SGF the Gamer says pre-alpha. Yep, just a tech demo at this point. 6 to 10 says, is there a way to sneakily switch the planets to the skybox? Yes, there is, but then I would need to generate skyboxes on the fly, which isn't as easy as it sounds, especially given that the Unity system has moved the skybox into the lighting window, which means that it's not normally allowed to be changed live. It's supposed to be baked permanently into the scene. Also, there's not any particularly compelling reason to make them into a skybox, since I can just use a texture, or rather a material, a smart material, on a small sphere and get a very good planet. These are not the final planets I'm going to go with. Evil Luigi is passing around some XKCD comics. Yep, except for those aren't because I scaled the planets wrong. If we actually scaled the planets wrong in reality, things would go a lot worse. Alright, so if we look at Earth space, we got it, got it offset by 0.5. We can offset it by 1, and that should give us almost exactly the same view. Yeah, that looks familiar. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Well, that was a surprisingly good stream. I fixed all of the breaks that I put in last time, and I was kind of worried about that, because when you say you're going to refactor something and then you half-ass it, things can go really catastrophically wrong. But in this case, it looks like we cleaned up most of the stuff pretty well. I still have some concerns about the internal and external views and stuff like that. We can work on them later, though. And 6 to 10 says, even with a splitting headache, you still have a nice sense of humor and a passion for what you do. That's good to hear. All I really remember about this session is telling everyone not to talk about No Man's Sky anymore, which shouldn't be a problem as of Saturday, because it'll be out by then. That said, I may be streaming No Man's Sky on Saturday instead of this. We'll see. Depends on how addicted I get. And I hope to see you all. I stream on Saturdays, roughly this time. You know, roughly starting roughly 2 hours, 3 hours ago. And on Wednesdays at about this time, roughly an hour and a half ago. If that fits with your schedule, I will see you again. I'm going to go take a vat full of painkillers.